Hello everyone, my name's Matt Johnston and welcome to the Interesting Times, a hit of political comedy from the UK. Tomorrow will be the 100-day anniversary for the Labour government. That's 2 Liz Trusses for anyone keeping score. And it's been a bit of a bumpy ride, no more so than last week. Keir Starmer's wingwoman Sue Gray has resigned from her post as Chief of Staff, the top SPAD Special Advisor, basically the civil servants that aren't impartial. She has decided to resign now as more and more stories are coming out of Number 10 about her, and she doesn't want to become the story. Really? The woman that drafted the report into Boris Johnson's line to Parliament about Partygate? Now, don't get me wrong, Johnson was guilty of lying as much as he's guilty of breathing. And there were definitely parties at Number 10 as confirmed by emails, people that work for him, and indeed the evidence of our own eyes. And Johnson's only defence was that he didn't have cake. But if you're drafting a report, well, let's be honest, likely talking to the leader of the opposition about a well-paid job working with them, then eyebrows are going to be raised. And this is the issue with the Labour Party. We get that you're new to the job, but you don't have a lot of wiggle room when it comes to people being fed up with politics in this country for all the right-wing reasons. Anyway, Sue has now moved to the totally meaningless envoy to the Prime Minister for nations and regions.
She's still going to play a part in government, which I'm pleased to see.
Yes, she's going to be the envoy for regions and nations. Is that a paid role?
Like she has this great talent, Sue Gray, to bring people together.
I'll try again. Is this a role with a salary?
No, but you can get all the Taylor Swift tickets you can eat. Yes, in case you didn't know, Taylor Swift toured in the UK over the summer, June through to August. A busy time as it was right in the middle of the election. So you'd think our politicians would be too busy to attend. You'd be thinking wrong.
What I can now reveal is that Yvette Cooper got freebie tickets to Taylor Swift concerts.
Did you go to see Taylor Swift?
I did. Yeah, I did.
Yeah, well, I went to the Taylor Swift concert on Friday at Wembley.
Well, I went. Boxes as well, to be completely fair.
Who was there?
And, well, you were there.
I paid for my tickets. I paid for my tickets.
Well,
I'm glad someone did.
Is the record label for Taylor Swift. What do the optics say there?
Aha, yes. Universal Music Group were the people that gave the tickets, who are the people who managed Taylor Swift. So, what are you trying to hide, Lisa Nandy?
Well, the reason that you know all of that is because we declared it.
Ah, yes. Typical devious Labour, playing the oldest trick in the book, hiding stuff from the great British public by publicly declaring it in the Register of Interest where it can be viewed by anyone. Honestly, they're so sneaky. And Labour are going ahead with an environmental project to the tune of a black hole busting £22 billion, which will be invested in something called carbon capture and storage, which is a controversial practice with doubts over its cost and effectiveness. But we are governed by morons, don't forget. So let's hear from some of the people we put in power.
This isn't just a policy about net zero or policy about boosting the particular cluster areas we've talked about. This is a policy that will boost jobs, skills and futures in the supply chain.
But so that we can use this precious investment, will he and his business and trade and education colleagues meet with honourable members from across the Tees Valley to discuss how we can ensure that the well-paid jobs, the apprenticeships and the training we need are secured?
Deputy Speaker, this announcement is fantastic news for the North East and for the country. It will place us at the forefront of a climate-critical and growing sector.
Well, my honourable friend speaks with great knowledge of this. She is unusual in this House in that she's an engineer by background and actually knows about these issues.
Yes, an engineer in electronics, not the environment. Oh, and don't forget, if science is a bit too hard, there's always patronising cartoons. Don't mind me. I was feeling a little lightheaded, so I thought I'd just store some of the carbon I've just caught. And as the name suggests, the idea behind it is to capture carbon and store it into facilities that keep it there. Is as much as I understand, I'll be honest, but there are others that understand a whole lot more. Let's hear from some of them now. Adrian Ramsey, MP for Waveney Valley and co-leader of the Green Party.
My concern here is that it's going to give the green light to the fossil fuel industries that have been lobbying this government, lobbying politics for a long time, to have the focus on carbon capture and storage, and will enable them to just carry on polluting, carry on with oil and gas fields, invest in blue hydrogen, which is essentially just fossil fuels by another name. Labour ditched its pledge to have 28 billion investment in the transition to the green economy of the future, the renewable energy, the home insulation, the public transport improvements that will enable us to transition to a green future in a way that improves everyday lives as well as creating jobs. They said they couldn't afford that 28 billion for a genuine change to the green future, but they can afford 22 billion just to give an excuse to carry on as we are.
Okay.
This makes no sense for the transition that we need. Nature has the potential to mitigate a third of our carbon emissions.
Paul Powserland, barrister at Garden Court Chambers, with a description so spot on that even GB News viewers could follow it.
Far from being the industry of the future, what it's effectively doing is continuing the industry of the past. So what it's doing is giving a new lifeline to the fossil fuel industry, one that probably doesn't work, is incredibly expensive and the wrong direction to be going. And instead, as an example, if you had a bathtub that was overflowing, what do? Do you buy a really new, fancy, expensive mop to try and mop up the stuff that's going on your floor? No, you turn the tap off.
Dale Vince, multi-millionaire and Labour Party donor and green energy industrialist.
I don't believe that it is the answer for the future. It's been talked about for 20 years or more. It's been in operation, I think, in Norway for like 30 years. But it's not working. It's not working at scale commercially anywhere in the world.
And Kevin Anderson, who is a professor of energy and climate change.
And then there's carbon capture and storage, which of course the oil companies love and lots. So CCS will not be and never can be made very low carbon. So I think we have to recognise we cannot keep burning fossil fuels.
Yes, if only there was some alternative to this. So, it may not work, it's ridiculously expensive and allows the fossil fuel industry not to change a thing. So why are we doing it? I guess some people can't see the wood for the trees. But there has to be something that Labour's getting right, right? Well, they're trying. I mean, yes they are. So, no time for... We got plenty of time. Don't listen to him. Let's have some Labour good news. Well, following on from Johnson handing out peerages like NPCs at COVID lockdown drinks event, Labour are looking at getting rid of 92 hereditary peers. Good. That will then leave only those that have been unelected by their constituents, handed huge wads of cash to a party, or blackmailed into doing so. Allegedly. Still, it's good to know that at least they have some standards. Angela Rayner is putting forward the Employment Rights Bill, which should put a stop to unscrupulous employment practices from some bosses. And this has already had a knock-on effect. DP World, what does the DP stand for? Not sure, although to be on the safe side, I won't Google it. Anyway, they're the company who own P&O operators. You know, the operators who did this.
Whilst these losses have been covered by P&O Ferries' parent company, DP World, it's clearly not sustainable in the future. The company has made the decision that its vessels, going forward, will be primarily crewed by a third-party crew provider. Therefore, I am sorry to inform you that this means your employment is terminated with immediate effect on the grounds of redundancy. Your final day of employment is today.
Ridiculous. Who wants some bloke in a suit and glasses giving you bad news for half an hour? So they sacked 800 employees on the spot and then rehired as cheaper agency staff to work longer hours at less than minimum wage. That was in 2022. And do you remember what the Tories did about P&O? Sweet FA. That's what. Well, these new laws will give protection to those workers. So, a good thing you would think. But no, the press have complained about the fact that the company is going to take their £1 billion investment out of the UK. This was after Louise Hay, the Transport Secretary, called them a road company run by cowboys, which they are. But then Keir Starmer has said this isn't the view of the government. Well, you know what? It bloody well should be. Tell DP World to take their ferries, their £1 billion investment, and P&O off. And to the press, I say, you need to calm down. And all of this is having a knock-on effect. A poll showed that the Conservatives are now just 1 point behind Labour, showing that the shortest memory span don't in fact belong to goldfish. So I guess what I'm saying, Sir Keir, is the press are setting the agenda, and I hate to be the one to break it to you, but they don't like you. You do the wrong thing, they write crap about you. You do the right thing, and they talk crap about you and hate you on top of that because you now made them actually have to do some work to work out the bad parts of the story. But you are the Prime Minister with a majority of 165. All right, that's down from 174 on the day of the election. But even if you lost 9 MPs every 100 days for the rest of your term, you would still have a majority going to the next general election. So, can I recommend a couple of things to get those that matter, the public, on side? Reenact the Leveson recommendations the Tories dropped over a decade ago. Get an independent commission that has the power to hand out fines, meaningful fines, fines that are going to hurt the owner's offshore tax haven. I'm sure any astronomist will tell you can plug up a black hole with the sun. I mean, I'm sure the press are going to lay into you over it, but how is that any different to what's happening now? The other thing you can do is rejoin the single market. Now, I know that you said plenty of times that that won't happen under your leadership. But let's be honest, you said a lot of things and then gone back at them. And when the press bring up the fact that you said it wouldn't happen, simply say, I lied. And I saw the way that you all cozied up to Johnson when he did that and just assumed you were okay with it. And that's it. No time to talk about reform setting their own agenda.
We are therefore serving notice today in this letter to the Home Secretary that if the Crown Prosecution Service are not going to charge these assailants, then we at Reform UK, we will launch a private criminal prosecution against these assailants.
Yes, this is the news that the Reform Party will bring forward a private prosecution of the 2 individuals who attacked the police officers at Manchester Airport.
We've taken legal advice. I have a top-quality legal team on standby.
Now, I've no doubt that Reform have lawyers on speed dial, if only for their financial clearances. So, for clarity, nearly all prosecutions taking place in the UK are done by the Crown Prosecution Service, CPS. We'll have a look at the likelihood of getting a conviction and proceed or not based on the evidence before them. Private prosecution can be brought by anyone against anyone, and the whole evidence thing doesn't really come into it. But obviously, it costs. And if you lose, you could be liable for the legal costs of the other guy. So, how are Reform going to deal with that?
We will crowdfund it.
Ah, smart. Which is more than can be said for their voters. So essentially, spending racist money on racist propaganda, with the added bonus that the CPS will probably take it over so Reform can keep the change. Then the CPS will obviously prosecute because they've got the evidence, at which point Reform can say, ha, see, that was us. Or less likely, unless the CPS believes all this grandstanding will prejudice the chances of these guys getting a fair trial and not prosecute, at which point Reform will say, two-tier care. There's been a delay with this because of an Independent Office for Police Conduct, or IOPC, investigation due to one of the individuals having their head kicked in while incapacitated on the floor. Now that's going to take around about 6 months, so it should be done in time for Christmas. Once that's done, then they can charge these individuals. Yes, the wheels of justice grind slowly, but this isn't the equaliser. It needs to be done right. Right? Anyone else thinking Reform's next manifesto will include public flogging? No time to talk about the fact that we are down to the final 2 in the race for top races. Jenrick versus Badenoch. Mad versus bad. But that's not how people thought this was going to pan out. The last time we spoke, I mentioned that Tom Tugendhat, the ex-army man, would be given his marching orders after showing some signs of lucidity. And so it was on Tuesday, Tom was gone. And a new leader of the pack emerged. James Cleverly was out in front picking up 39 votes. Then Jenrick with 31 and Badenoch with 30. So it looked like Cleverly, and take your pick from the other 2.
As chairman of the 1922 committee and returning officer in the leadership contest, I can now give you the results of the 4th and final parliamentary ballot. So 120 MPs voted, and I can report the numbers of votes for each candidate as follows. Kemi Badenoch, 42 votes. James Cleverly, 37 votes. And Robert Jenrick, 41 votes.
Well, we said it was going to be unpredictable, but I don't think anyone was predicting that result.
Nobody saw that coming.
Literally no one thought that James Cleverly would go out.
You're joking. You are joking.
I never would have had that.
That is astonishing.
I'm trying to work out what's going on here, I'll be honest.
Well, the result has just been announced, and it is pretty astonishing.
Wait, what? James, the man in front, is now out? It's the apprentice all over again. Wait, he got 39 votes with 4 candidates and 37 with 3? Tories have never been particularly good with numbers.
I don't think anybody saw that one coming.
Yes, no one saw this coming. No one. Well, except those people actually voting in the poll. But yeah, sharks don't get much bigger than this. Just extraordinary. How could this be that one of the 3 remaining candidates will not make it through to the final 2? I mean, what are the chances? 1 in 3? And who could have predicted that? This is a sign of how far the Conservative has sunk when they can't even rig their own elections properly anymore. If you want further proof of this, the guy reading out the scores there is Bob Blackman, the chairman of the 1922 committee, who took over from Sir Graham Brady, who stepped down before the election, and they cocked up his election too over a misunderstanding of the timing of the vote. You can call it a cock-up, you can call it ridiculous, but don't you dare say it's not entertaining. Tune in for the grand finale. Who will it be, Jenrick or Badenoch, the Git versus the Gaff? Or could there be another twist? Another to join the race? No spoilers, just show the silhouette. Mysterious. Well, actually, it won't be Johnson. We know that much. But if a by-election comes up in the next year, could he make a return? After all, the Tories know a thing or two about buying elections. But of course, the big question has to be, should we actually care? I mean, it's only been a few months since the election, where the Tories proved themselves to be about as popular as flatulence in an extravehicular mobility unit. After all, you can change the driver on the clown car, but the wheels are still going to come off. Oh, and of course we have to talk about Johnson. Do we? Well, yes. Apparently we do. He's been doing the rounds sending his book, Unleashed, his twisted, sour and full of yet more lies memoirs of a clown. Not my words, but those of journalists that have reviewed the book. Johnson, though, has a different take.
If we did a textual analysis of all of the messages, there is one word that comes up. It begins with L. Do you want to guess what it is?
Let me see.
Johnson thinks he means lover, doesn't he?
It's liar. Lots of people think you're a liar. Well, are you a liar?
I know.
It seems we've come full circle. Johnson lied to the British public over Brexit, lied to the Queen over proroguing Parliament, lied to Parliament about lockdown parties. It should be somewhat felicitous that he should be finally lying to himself. If you have enjoyed these videos, then you belong with me. So please like, subscribe and hit all the notifications bell, and I'll see you all soon. Take